Hello, I'm Dr. Motti Adler. In this video, I want to show you some real musical magic. Actually, like in some real magic shows, in this episode I'll show you the magic, and in the next episode I'll explain how it's done. Now, we all know these optical illusions that play tricks on our eyes, but did you know that we can experience similar musical illusions that play tricks on our ears? First, as an example, here's a striking optical illusion I especially like. Can you believe that these two squares actually have the same color? It seems impossible, right? Here, I'll cover the rest of the picture and let's see what happens. Amazing, isn't it? Here is the original picture again. Nice. Of course, the reason that this illusion works is because our perception of the color of an object is relative. In other words, it's dependent not only on the color of the object itself, but on the color of the object's surroundings as well. What's interesting is that this same phenomenon applies to music as well. The musical illusion I'm going to show you is not really some kind of trick. Actually, it's a distinct musical device that composers use in order to give the music a special, unexpected flavor or color. As an example, I will use the famous piano piece by Ludwig van Beethoven, the Moonlight sonata. First, I'll say a few things about this work. I consider this fantastic masterpiece, written in 1801, to be a milestone in the history of music. It belongs to a period in which Beethoven's musical style started to change from a more classical style, like that of Haydn and Mozart, towards a more romantic style, like that of Schubert and Brahms. We can generally say that the classical style is lighter and simpler in character than the romantic style. Romantic pieces are often more moody and have more unexpected twists and turns than classical pieces. The Moonlight Sonata can be a good example of a transition piece between the two styles. It is not yet a fully romantic piece. Its twists and turns are not too extreme. However, it's quite emotional, and its beautiful first movement has a very dark, melancholic character. Now, the musical illusion I describe here has to do with the sound of major and minor chords. So first let's discuss what major and minor chords are. Then we'll see the magic that Beethoven created with them. Here is a major chord. It consists of 3 notes. As you can see, I represent each note with 1 bar. Let's listen. Now let's compare it with a minor chord. This chord consists of 3 notes as well, but we can see that its upper note is a little lower than the one in the major chord. This small visual difference actually creates quite a substantial difference in sound. Let's listen. Listeners generally perceive the major chord as being more cheerful in character than the minor chord. Now I'll play the 2 chords again. This time I'll change their colors, and I'll even add 2 emoticons to emphasize their different characters. Let's see if you agree with me. Now I'll break the 2 chords into separate notes so that they'll appear in sequential order. This doesn't change the character of the 2 chords, and this is what Beethoven did in the music. Let's listen. Because Beethoven wanted to give the music a dark character, his natural inclination was to start the work with minor chords. Let's follow the beginning of the piece. Now I've reached the main point of this episode. At a certain point during the opening phrase, Beethoven wanted to emphasize or boost the dark melancholic character of the music. We saw that in order to create the dark melancholic atmosphere, Beethoven used minor chords. How could he boost this and make the music sound even more dark and melancholic? Well, believe it or not, he used a major chord. But how is that possible? Isn't the major chord supposed to sound brighter and more cheerful than the minor chord? Actually, as we'll hear and see, in some special contexts, a major chord can indeed sound very dark and melancholic. Let's check it out. Here is a major chord. This is going to be the chord that creates the peculiar phenomenon I'm talking about here. Out of context, it will sound brighter and more joyful than a minor chord. Let's compare them quickly again. Again, we can see that the upper note in the major chord is higher than in the minor chord. So far, nothing new. However, when put in context, this major chord suddenly becomes a very dark, almost frightening chord. Here is the major chord in its position in the opening phrase of the piece. When heard in context, its bright character transforms into a very dark one, and paradoxically, the appearance of the major chord marks the darkest moment in this phrase. Let's listen to the phrase. Strange, isn't it? So what happened here? Actually, the secret lies in the context, and we shall decipher the secret of the context in the next episode. So please, join me for the second episode of Beethoven's Moonlight Magic.